because we didn't think that far ahead, we're starting with Atlanta. Let's go. So let's start with who Atlanta lost and then who they picked up. And then I'm going to send it over to Connor to answer a few questions for us. Atlanta went ahead and lost 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13 players this year from their squad that finished like dead last. They lost John Gallagher to Austin, who gave them 4 goals in roughly 1,000 minutes. They lost Remedy to San Jose, who gave them about 1,200 minutes, a goal, assist, and about a tackle a game. They lost their captain and Big Jeff, again, about 1,000 minutes, 2 goals, 2 assists, and a decent center defensive mid option. Adam Yan, 3 goals, 1 assist in about 1,000 minutes. And then the 2 big ones for me, Fidel Escobar, 1,400 minutes, 2.5 tackles a game, and an assist, as well as Fernando Meza, who they brought in to replace LGP, who is now on his way out after 1,100 minutes, 3 headers a game, and 3 clearances a game. That's kind of shocking to me for a team that's got a brand new coach coming in. But anyways, they lost Andrew Carlton, Edgar Castillo, Manuel Castro, who they brought in to replace Josef. He didn't hit. Lagos Kunga, who was supposed to be, I thought he was supposed to be the next like wonder kid. That didn't happen. Brendan Moore, JJ Williams, Lawrence White, and that is it on departures. But an interesting note, this team only scored 23 goals last year. The players that they're releasing scored 14 of them. That's more than half of the goals they scored last year gone. Granted, no Josef. But are we really going to put all of our eggs in the basket, Josef returning 100% healthy? Connor will bring that to you in a second. Who they pick up? They signed a homegrown player in Jackson Conway, who actually scored against Club America in their CONCACAF Champions League game last year. They got Andrew Gutman on re-entry, but I don't know if he's actually there after kind of doing some research. It looks like he's currently back at Celtic. Kind of questions there. It's not on MLS's website either, so I'm not sure there. Re-signing Mikey Ambrose from Inter Miami, came back after a couple years away, giving you some depth at that outside back spot. Efren Morales, a homegrown player, and then the big ones here, Eric Lopez from Olympia, looks like a future signing there, 18 years old, 4 goals in 12 games at Olympia, so that's a nice one there. You've got an experienced striker in Lisandro Lopez, who I can't really understand why they brought him in at all. Santi Sosa is the big one, 21 years old, from River Plate, supposed to be in. My guess is he looks to be their Miguel Almiron replacement. Ronald Hernandez from Aberdeen, outside back depth as well. Still not really addressing that center back depth. And then Adam's favorite player, and we'll let him dig into it a little bit. Machop Chol, homegrown player, right to Atlanta too. But they have brought in players, but did they answer all the problems that they had? Connor, thoughts on their window?
They definitely haven't answered all the problems that they had. I mean, you can tell already that they're severely lacking in center backs right now. I mean, you have Miles Robinson and Anton Walkes.
Yep, and I think the backup there is a homegrown player. I think that's it.
Yeah, and Walkes can kind of go in between center back and right back, but I don't think their window's done. I know they've been rumored with a couple of center back options, so I expect them to sign someone else as well. Once they can cover that position a little bit better, I think that'll help round out the window a little bit better. But in terms of the guys that we lost, the biggest loss for me is Escobar. I think that he was like one of the more underrated players in this league. I think he was such a solid player for them, and he played like all over the back line, and he was versatile. He was really useful for them. And then he was just kind of randomly gone. And, maybe that has to do with him not wanting to be here if that's the case. But it's definitely a loss that's going to hurt, especially when you have no replacement for him right now and nobody else in the back line that's going to, fill that hole. And then you lost a couple of other like more rotational guys like Gallagher and Remedy and Big Jeff, Adam Yan, Fernando Meza. Those guys aren't going to probably make or break the team, but that's definitely guys that you'll miss that depth at times when you're in the thick of the season. You got like US Open Cup and guys are injured or maybe they're away for international duty. And that's when you're going to really feel those losses the most. But I think they did a pretty good job in terms of signing people. My biggest thing is it kind of feels like they're signing people that Hines wants in the team. It feels like he's bringing in the guys that he wants, like Santi Sosa or Ronald Hernandez. And that kind of gives me hope that if the manager comes up with a plan, this is what he wants to do, and the team's willing to back him, then that's something I want to see from my team, because then there's if it doesn't work out, then there's no excuses. Then like he had his backing, he had his chance, it didn't work out, but hopefully his game plan pans out and then things go well for them. So I think it was a pretty good window for them. I just wish that they had a little bit less turnover.
Yeah, my worry is that they see what happens with Pity Martinez, they see what happens with Brian Rodriguez and say, it doesn't matter if we're doing well, it doesn't matter if the player's doing well. If they're young and South American and have any bit of potential, we can sell them on no matter what happens. And that's what I'm seeing this trend right now is young South American attackers or wingers, and who gives a crap about who's playing in the back. And that is a fear of mine in terms of the entire league. If we start trending towards that direction, it just turns into, which isn't always the worst thing, it turns into 8-7 games. And, you're looking at a back line that Liverpool has right now where you've got 4 center defensive mids playing in the back line. It just looks awful. They are linked to you guessed it, Argentinian center back, Lautaro Giannetti, as well as a midfielder in Franco Ibarra. That is where quote of the episode comes in. For those of you who can read it, but I will read it to all of you. Argentina makes, Atlanta United takes. That's where we're at.
Listen. If you look at who they brought in, there's only 2 Argentinians in there.
There's 3. Oh no, one of them's Paraguayan, isn't he?
Yeah, Lopez is Paraguayan.
That's right. They're all
Lisandro
linked
Lopez.
to like 9 Argentinians.
They're linked to a bunch, but they've only signed 2 so far.
Yeah, but they continue to sign just the Argentinians.
I mean, if you count the coach, that's 3.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a nice tagline. We're gonna stick with it. I could say South America makes, Atlanta takes, but that's just a bunch of words.
Hey, listen, this is the way that I think a lot of us wanted the league to go, is to snatch up the talent from South America. So I'm not complaining too much. I'm glad they're doing this.
I agree. I completely agree. Adam, thoughts?
I'll be honest. I've been sitting here waiting to introduce the player that Andrew intentionally left out. So I didn't hear a damn word of that. But, yeah, so the player Andrew graciously let me introduce that Atlanta brought in is not only maybe the coolest name I've ever heard of, but I'm just going to put this out into the universe. We'll be on the podcast at some point this season. So
yes,
when we clip these up, this will get sent to him. It is Atlanta's homegrown new player, none other than Machop Chol. That coolest name ever, hands down. This man, I am naming my fantasy team after you this season. Let's bring it home.
So let me go ahead and say a few things.
Yeah.
1, we just spent 15 minutes talking about Atlanta United's roster, and the only thing you could think of was one player.
Yep.
2, how heartbroken would you be if his name is actually pronounced like Mac Hop?
I'm still gonna call him a chop, so it doesn't matter.
Oh man, that would be. Also, has anybody looked up his roster picture on Atlanta United's roster?
Yeah, it's incredible.
they must have hit like auto clear the background. It's missing spots of his hair.
Yep.
Oh man, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, he started playing with them in 2016, and has kind of worked his way up. Chose Wake Forest, and is looking to be maybe a dark horse for a few minutes this year, depending on how quickly and how healthy Mr. Martinez comes back. So keep an eye out on him.
When he scores his first goal, I will celebrate like no other.
I'm gonna give the Twitter over to you and let you just go ahead.
Can't wait.
Somebody tell me who needs to make the biggest impact on this team in 2021.
Like anybody on the team, or just out of the
who is the transfer in or signing in that needs to show up on day one and be like, let's do this?
I said Santi Sosa because I feel like, both of the Lopez's probably aren't going to get a ton of the game time this year unless they move to a different position. Because assuming Yosef comes back and he does well, they're going to mainly play as a backup role. But Sosa is going to come in with Atlanta having dropped two of their midfielders in Jeff and Remedi. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for playing time for him. So, if they don't have a ton of options, then he's going to have to play, so I think if he's gonna get big minutes this year, we're gonna need good performances out of him.
Yeah, and I thought he was an attacking midfielder, but I'm looking up now and
Yeah, I
see
think
that
he's a
holding
defensive
guy.
midfielder.
So that is a like for like replacement right there, which is a huge signing for them. Yeah. I said it was Eric Lopez. Maybe not this year. I think he'll step in this year and play. But it looks like he is going to be their Miguel Almiron replacement. Paraguayan from an Argentinian league, plays in that attacking role. I've seen some highlights of him. Looks like he likes to get around and play in between lines, in between the channels, and kind of get other people set up. So his numbers might not be unreal, but you'll see his impact. Nobody's really filled that role yet, right? They've tried PT, they've tried Barco, they've tried a whole bunch of different people to come in and fill that role, and it just hasn't hit yet. So I'd be interested to see how he does. Adam, I'd ask you, but I feel like you already have an answer that we all know.
I would love nothing more to say that, but no, I'm gonna agree with Connor. I'll be serious for a moment and pick Santi Sosa. Part of me wants to pick one of the strikers, but Yosef had basically the full year to recover from the injury, so he should, by the time the season starts, be relatively, if not close to 100%, I would think. I haven't heard of any, setbacks or anything as far as his rehab's gone. Which I know we spoke about how the players they lost, contributed to essentially half their goals. I mean, Yosef comes back and that kind of offsets the whole thing. So it's not that big of a problem considering how good he is, but
it's also important to know that they've got Marcelino Moreno behind him as well. So that'll help set him up a lot. All right. Quick 15 seconds, no more, no less. Grade for the window for Atlanta United. Adam.
I'll give it a C. I don't think.
Of course he did.
I don't think what they did is necessarily going to put them back to where they were that first season, where they were just lights out, destroying everyone every game. I think they kind of took a step back last season. Yes, they had injuries. Yes, last season was a mess for everybody, but Atlanta especially were not good. You go into a group to start the season with three other teams, one of them being FCC, and they didn't make it out. So,
Connor.
I'm saying a B for them because I thought that they did a good job so far to bring in players that I think are going to fit Heinz's system well. And it seems like the team's kind of going more towards the setup that won them MLS Cup, going with the South American players and kind of creating a system that works well for them. And I think if they can get a couple more defenders and kind of add some more depth there, I think that's a good window for them, and they'll look like a strong team. At least on paper, they'll look like a strong team again.
Yeah, no, I agree. Not really. I lied. I give them a C-. In the long term, tons of potential. These guys are going to get really good. Atlanta United make a lot of money. Everybody's really happy in Don Garber's office. They're going to say, yay, 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 yay. They're our babies. We're going to give them whatever they want. This year, you're losing half your goals, and your replacements are two U21 South Americans, a 37-year-old striker, and a recovering Yosef. You're putting a lot of eggs in a basket that you don't know a lot about. And you need to get back to winning ways in that city very, very soon. On top of that, you let the majority of your back line go and have not brought in anyone to replace them, which means Brad Guzan is a dead man. C-.